welcome back, and thank you for attending this Fire Up Connect network discussion. My name is John Simion. I'm a technology expert. I've been spending about the last hour talking with Julie Cullen, who's a construction professional who's got experience using digital identity in the construction industry to improve safety, compliance, and lower risk. So we've just spent about the last 40 minutes talking about digital identity, some of the use cases. Is there anything else that you might want to add, Julie, about how these are applicable to other industries? Can you think of anything?
Well, we spoke about the military. I think that, virtual or digital IDs would also be very useful in the restaurant industry. You can, track people's shifts and their hours. You can just convert, everything's very easily converted into payroll systems, and it takes, everybody knows what they're paying for when you have a digital ID. You know how many people
Interesting.
are on site.
Yeah, I've even heard that they've been used as like a reward card system where basically like I show my reward badge and I can get discounts at different restaurants.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's probably not just for the workers, it's for you and me as well. I like getting discounts, don't you?
Yeah.
It sounds like there's pretty much unlimited uses for this technology. I mean, this tech seems like it's new, but it's becoming more and more mainstream, right?
Yeah, agreed. It's a little bit resistant getting people to sign on to it, but I think that once it really gets moving, people will find that the benefits of it are endless.
That makes sense. I mean, like you've said before, people want to know like what they've actually paid for in terms of, labor bills, and they also want to know how long you've been there for if there's any kind of issues. So that makes a lot of sense. So just to do a little bit of recap for our discussion, then we talked a little bit about the problems that injuries and accidents cause on a construction site. Actually, those problems can cause up to $10 billion a year in terms of fines, medical bills, wasted time, wasted productivity. Is this important to your industry?
Of course, yes. Everybody, well, given the competitiveness of the industry, and everybody's trying to get the lowest bid. You're constantly digging into profits in order to win jobs. So the more accurate the bidding is, the more money that you can save, and more money you can bring into your own company.
More streamlined you can be, and the quicker
Mhm.
you can work, the safer you can work. It makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. And we also have talked a little bit about digital IDs in terms of scheduling and project management as well. Do you have any idea how much the industry could save by having better scheduling and project controls? I feel like that's a little bit separate from injuries and accidents. Can you even put a number on that?
Honestly, I would have no idea, but I would assume that it's a lot, because every, depending on the size of a project, just the GCs alone can run 80,000 a month in, um, added costs for each month that a project goes over schedule. So, if you think about just the GCs alone, and we're only probably 10 people on a project that could have up to 200 people at a given time.
Wow. So eliminating human error would save you countless amounts of money.
Yes, of
Wow.
course.
Well, we've also talked a little bit about ways that digital IDs can help other industries besides construction. Do you have any advice for like a business owner or somebody who might want to get started with this type of technology? Like how would you, what would you say to them?
I would just say that, technology is scary, and a lot of people are hesitant to it, but it really is the future. Technology is helpful in so many ways. It can really change the success of a project for sure.
It's because you know more information, right? Like the more you
Yeah,
know.
it's all about data nowadays. Data can really improve the quality of a project, the scheduling of a project, the profits of a project. So,
Do you have an example of how that's helped you?
well, for safety, I mean, it's
Just
been,
avoiding accidents?
yeah, like a way of avoiding accidents, a better way of communication. You're able to have the superintendent talk to either all foremans at any given time, to relay important information that might need to be relayed to everybody. They can send out blasts to the entire project. Going back to my fire example, if there was a fire on the project and we were missing a person, the superintendent could send out a blast to everyone and say, we're missing one. Please report to the muster point. And it,
What you're really talking about here is like a culture of safety, wouldn't you say?
of course, yes.
Like,
Nothing will ruin a project more than having a lot of safety violations and safety issues. Accidents cost thousands and thousands of dollars in, lost schedule, in insurance claims, and it also affects the morale of the project.
what do you mean by that?
Well, going back to my electrician example earlier, that man that was shocked, he was a veteran of the company. He was a veteran electrician, and everybody in the company, the electrical trade, they all liked him and knew him very well, and they were all hurt by it. And especially the guy who removed the lockout. He was you know traumatized, I guess, by
They
it.
did probably. Wow. That is a really crazy story. Huh. Well, let's talk a little bit more about your military background, if that's okay.
Sure.
Could you talk a little bit about kind of how you mentioned paper certificates? I mean, I've been pretty familiar with the military my whole life. My father was in the military, but could you talk a little bit more about tracking training and that type of certificates? Like, how does that work?
Sure. So the military requires uh, certain annual training requirements. You're required to take sexual assault training, resiliency training, every single year. But for example, if you're deploying, that required training will triple, quadruple, and all of that training, when you're deploying, you take all of your certificates in a paper binder, and you have to bring them with you and carry them with you throughout the entire deployment. It's just very unrealistic, and you know people lose their paperwork and then have to redo the training, and it's just a lot of downtime if that happens.
Do you think that that's a common, I'm trying to think of the right word, not a common problem, but that paper certificates for training is like a common thing throughout every industry, or is it just military and construction?
Well, I can really only speak to military and construction, but it is a huge problem in both of those industries. They're very archaic in the sense that they haven't quite pulled into the digital arena yet. I With military, I can kind of understand, because some of the paperwork can be, um, you know, not classified, but it can be kind of, not for everyone to see. So a lot of that would require security in the apps, which I think is very possible nowadays. We have the face recognition, we have the passwords. They're not completely unsusceptible to hacking, but I think that the security systems that we have in place now really do help.
That's interesting. Wow, that's really good information. So I think that we need to summarize our conversation here. So in one or two sentences, how would you describe the effect that digital identity has had on you as a construction professional?
I think it's been great. I think it's helped a lot with communication. It's hard to communicate to 150 people, and it's hard to keep, you know, going back to span of control, it's hard to con- keep track of 150 people with using just two people to manage that many people. So I think that it really does allow for less management to be more effective. And
You would say in general that using the digital identities has made your life easier because there's less accidents, there's less issues. I think I said it before, but everyone reads from the same sheet of music rather than there being paperwork.
exactly, exactly. And everything's just at your fingertips. So there is no flipping through a binder to find somebody's certificate. You just pull up that person's profile from the digital ID, or the virtual badge that we use on site, and it's right there for you to see. You can see in real time that that person is trained on their OSHA 10 or their hoisting license, or maybe their license expired and they have to get it renewed. All these things you're able to track. So when you do get investigated or inspected.
Well, I think that's it for our conversation, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. This was Fire Up Connect. My name's John Simion, and this was Julie Tolan.